Hey folks, it's Gabe at Security.org, and today I want to talk to you about crypto in the metaverse. So you've seen the word crypto around everywhere. You've seen that Facebook has even changed their name to Meta, and you're wondering exactly what does this all have to do with the world around us? Well, that's what I want to delve into today with a brief video on crypto in the metaverse. All right, so what is the metaverse? Now, the metaverse term was coined by Neil Stephenson in his 1992 novel, Snow Crash. Here, people have really advanced, or rather our world has advanced to the point where fiber optic, computer processing power, all of that has made for really immersive virtual worlds that most of humanity spends their time in versus their reality. The ideas contained in this novel, of course, have also been explored in other popular culture, works of art, things like Tron, Ready Player One, and a personal favorite, Total Recall. Interestingly enough, when Stevenson came out with this 30 years ago, really VR, virtual reality, was in its infancy. We were nowhere near where we are now. When people had it, it was very expensive, it was very clunky, but now it's like consumer grade almost. For example, you have options like Oculus Quest 2, Sony PlayStation VR, Valve Index VR Kit, HTC Vive Pro 2, and many others. Now, I don't have experience with all of them, but the ones I have messed around in are honestly terrifying because I'm typically trying to play The Walking Dead and stuff like that. That's just kind of my thing. Now, I also, of course, want to point out that none of these are indistinguishable from reality yet. I still remember pretty much that I'm inside a virtual world, but they are getting pretty good. So the next question might be, well, will the metaverse be centralized like, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or is it going to be decentralized? Really, the question is, will it be decentralized or should it be decentralized? A lot of privacy advocates and, freedom advocates, if you will, believe that it'd be dangerous if we allow the metaverse to be centralized. That will lead to, a lot of the abuses we've seen from major companies when it comes to our privacy. So a lot of organizations, companies, individuals, investors are looking to make it completely decentralized, or at least more decentralized metaverse that's outside of what corporations may tell us it needs to be. Now, the crypto metaverse is a concept that really started to grow in 2017, when in August of that year, Decentraland became an actual thing out in the world. It has come to encompass other decentralized metaverses like Somnium Space and the Sandbox. In the crypto metaverse, land in VR is stored as a token on a public blockchain. Now, each token contains information about the spatial coordinates of that land, the owner of the land, and just some basic contents and basic elements about the land. Now, the token also contains information about where to find the land's content, while the actual content is stored off-chain, and that's going to be in a peer-to-peer network like BitTorrent. Now, in a decentralized metaverse, you still need to have a centralized server that everyone can kind of, communicate with, that kind of thing. But everyone should also have their own private server so that no one company comes to dominate. All right, so let's talk about Decentraland. This is one of the first ones out there, one of the biggest ones out there. Decentraland was the first crypto metaverse ever conceived. In the original white paper, all of the basic features of the decentralized metaverse were explained. In order to build that metaverse, Decentraland offered its currency, Mana, for sale in August 2017. Over 24 million was raised, with each Mana selling for $0.024. And now that is worth more than $2 per coin. Now, Decentraland was publicly released in February 2020, and the world itself runs on a central server that the developer provides, but all of the land and most of the objects in the world are blockchain tokens. So even though it is a central server, Decentraland doesn't use a username password login, so you'll need a crypto wallet to sign in. In 2018, Somnium Space was announced as an alternative decentralized metaverse. At the time, Decentraland actually hadn't been publicly released. Now, it offered its first batch of land for sale in late 2018, and now those plots sell for something like $9,000 or more. Some of them sell as much as $100,000. Like Decentraland, Somnium Space also runs on a central server, but the land and NFTs exist on the blockchain, and the developer hopes that landowners will host their own metaverse servers eventually. So that's a bit of a distinction from Decentraland. Finally, we have the Sandbox. Now, the Sandbox was announced in July 2019. It proposed to create a virtual world like Decentraland and Somnium Space with blockchain tokens representing virtual land. Now, the Sandbox doesn't currently use VR headset technology, but it may eventually. It has a currency called Sand as its medium of exchange within the metaverse. It was 0.008333 per token, and now Sand is worth over $3 per token. All of the land and collectibles in Sandbox are on the blockchain. Only the hosting service itself is centralized, and the Sandbox is currently being tested in an alpha stage. So those are some of the options when it comes to buying land, looking at decentralized metaverses. But what does this mean for you as an investor? Now, metaverse cryptocurrencies. The simplest way to gain exposure to the metaverse as an investor is just to buy some coin. It can be mana, cubes, sand. This will get you in the game. Now, you can buy these coins directly on exchanges. So any number of exchanges will sell these metaverse tokens. Now, let's start with mana. That is the native coin of Decentraland. Now, mana has a fixed supply, which means that if the demand for Decentraland goes up, the demand for mana will go up, the price will go up. You get the idea. Cubes is the cryptocurrency for Somnium Space. Now, 40% were sold in the ICO. Now, 60% have been retained in something called a creator fund that will serve as capital for businesses in Somnium Space, which I think is a really cool concept. I'm really interested in the governance elements going forward, especially in Metaverse. Maybe that's the lawyer in me jumping out when it comes to crypto in the Metaverse. Don't worry, I'm sure in a few years, people will be suing other people in the Metaverse. But to go back, if the demand for businesses and things of that nature using that creator fund goes up in the future, then the price of cubes will go up. So once again, we'll see what happens. Maybe people really want to get into Somnium Space, and therefore the price of those cubes will increase in value. Finally, Sand is the native coin for the Sandbox. So any goods or services, you need Sand to spend in the Sandbox. Sand has a maximum supply of 3 billion tokens, of which around 700 million are in circulation, so about 23%. Now, 49% or 1.48 billion of the tokens are reserved for the Sandbox and Company Treasury and the Sandbox Foundation. Now, you'll see that we've talked about 49% and 23%, which means there's 28% remaining, and that's held by the team at Sand and some investors and advisors. Now, the total supply of Sand is set to be released in the next 5 years, which means that there should be a 4x increase in the actual supply of Sand. However, Sand can be staked. If demands of goods and services rise faster than the amount they release, who knows? That price can go in a lot of different directions. Just to be clear, if you do decide to stake Sand, that does have to be put over into the Polygon network first, and Sand does a great job of explaining how to do so. Another way to gain exposure to the metaverse is to just buy land. When it comes to land, you might just want to see, hey, is there anything compelling about this? Will it be useful in the future? What's going on with it? Or do I think this land is just going to be worth more in the future? Now, of course, some of the secondary market is OpenSea. So OpenSea.io, which is another conversation we should be having at some point in video form here at Security.org. But if you just want exposure to the metaverse, you can just buy land. So next, let's talk about Metaverse NFTs. You probably heard this term a lot, and it did peak in Google, and now it's definitely dropped back down, but we have to talk about Metaverse NFTs. NFT stands for non-fungible token. If a single smart contract produces more than one type of token, each of the tokens it produces is considered an NFT. This is because the tokens are not interchangeable or fungible. Now, NFTs can be something like clothing for your avatar, or even the avatar itself. And if you have an idea of what you think may be popular in the future, then yeah, it could be an investment just to buy some of these NFTs to sell in the future. But let's talk about the scams, because that's what's also been in the news a lot, right? When it comes to the metaverse, when it comes to crypto, people just be scamming, man. So here's some red flags to look out for. 1, promises of a high return. You don't know that. No one knows that. Anyone promising you a high return, they can't promise you that. Generally speaking, you're not going to know what's going to give you a high return. You just won't. 2nd, confusing game mechanics. Now, if you are, doing a play to earn kind of metaverse game, it shouldn't be that complicated to understand how you get token, can transfer it. None of that should be that complicated. And there have been a lot of scams in this particular space. Squid Game scam when it came to tokens, a lot just happening. Really sad. People lost a lot of money. Well, some people got a lot of money, but most people lost a ton of money. 3rd, you've got land hype. That's pump and dump for land, People are like, yo, buy this piece of land, blah, blah, blah. This happened to my cousin one time. Yo, they were like, yo, buy these cribs, bro. These cribs are gonna be worth a lot of money. And then they like, put like an oil refinery there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to be a victim of a pump and dump when it comes to land. And finally, you want to check out for fake metaverse currencies. I mean, it's like counterfeit, right? People associate themselves maybe with the world, or they say, hey man, or woman, or non-binary, you want to go buy some space? Come buy my Sand X for the sandbox. You're like, Sand X? They're like, yeah, it's like better sand money. So don't fall for fake metaverse cryptocurrencies, please. I beg you. All right, so now the idea of the metaverse has been endlessly hyped up in the media. We all have heard so much about it, but there is a real technological revolution happening underneath it all. And hey, we've talked about some great ways to get some exposure to that. Buy a VR set, go in on your computer, see what all the fuss is about. I'm trying to get an Oculus too. That's all I want. Guys, please subscribe to the channel, leave me a comment, give me a like, so I can get another Oculus. That's really what it's all about. All right, folks, now seriously, thanks for watching today's video. Really appreciate it. We're always trying to bring you the newest in digital and physical security here at Security.org. My name is Gabe. This is Security.org. Be secure.